Hello, my internet friends. My name is Soul, and I hope everyone watching had a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. And I wanted to celebrate the season by doing my own little festive holiday cheer video, and that is to look back on 2023. Every year I usually do like my top 10 movies for 2023, and this year it wasn't a wonderful year for movies. There's only like a few I was really passionate about. I felt weird about doing a top 10 movies where there's only like 4 that I like really care about. So I thought instead, there's all these movies I haven't talked about, all these movies I haven't reviewed yet. So I wanted to do like a 12 days of Christmas special where each day I review a different movie from 2023, only for some reason it's in January. It's because I'm late, because it's already Christmas. So the January 2024 edition of 12 Days of Christmas. And like I said, each day we're going to review a different movie from the year 2023, or if you're watching this on the main channel, I'm just going to block them all together for one super video so I don't clog everyone's sub feed. But if you're watching this on the second channel, I'll be seeing you guys every single day. And off the bat, I wanted to review a movie I actually watched today, and it happened to also be my worst movie of 2023, which is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. So this film was like a fever dream to me. I remember seeing a trailer for it, and then I forgot about it. Then it went into theaters. This godforsaken movie got a theater run. I forgot about it then. And then until this morning when I saw it on streaming services, and I was like, oh yeah, that existed. And maybe sometimes reviewers, we just want to bully something. You want to hate watch something. I did go into it with an open mind. I wasn't, specifically looking to clown on it, but I knew what was coming, and I was correct. It was the worst movie of the year by far. So if you haven't gone into a lore background for this movie, I'll break it down for you real quick. Winnie the Pooh, beloved childhood classic character. Everybody loves Winnie the Pooh. I love Winnie the Pooh. He's a great guy. You ever play Kingdom Hearts? He'd run around the Winnie the Pooh level? I did. It was awesome. And he went into public domain, so now every single degenerate out there can make their own Winnie the Pooh property, as long as they only take from the original childhood classic story. They don't go too much into the Disney stuff. It's fair game, and thus this movie exists. And let's say you want to make your own spin on a property that already exists. Maybe the laziest way you could do that is just to make it a slasher film. Take those childhood characters, just make them into bad costumes, and make them murderers, and you have a slasher film. And I'm not saying this couldn't work. You could make like a funny, weird parody movie, something campy or goofy. That could have worked, but it probably would have taken like actual effort and care, which this movie does not have. And I'll go into my own little childhood well for a moment. I remember being a kid, and my grandmother, she loved Winnie the Pooh, and I remember when I'm still like excited that Tigger is on the screen and jumping around and just stumbling around. I remember being that little watching Winnie the Pooh at my grandmother's house. I have cried for maybe 2 movies ever, and one of them was the Christopher Robin movie. That's how deep my childhood love for Winnie the Pooh goes. That being said, I bring that up because this movie easily could have tapped into some childhood trauma stuff. If they wanted to ruin my childhood, they had it right in their fingertips, and they didn't do a goddamn thing with that, because never at any point in this movie does anything happening on screen remind you of Winnie the Pooh. It's a fucking guy in a mask, and at no point in the movie does it feel like anything other than that. If they just stop pretending this isn't some dude in a mask, if they finally we're just like, yeah, I'm just a fucking creepy guy obsessed with a childhood story, that would have made for a better movie than us pretending that Winnie the Pooh is like a half bear thing that got abandoned and became a murderer for some reason. Because if you're going to use this franchise, you're going to use these characters, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet at least, that's the only characters they use, other than like a shitty little intro. That is the only thing they take from this property are names and similar looking faces, and they do nothing with it. So if that's all you're gonna do, don't put that in your title, don't use these characters' names. You are doing nothing with this property. And then the rest of the cast is just lifeless slaughter with no personality. You are introduced to like almost a dozen characters within the first 20-30 minutes. You're not going to remember any of them. You know they're going to die. They are not going to play with that idea. They're not going to do anything. They're all just going to die one by one. It's a bunch of girls going on a girl trip, and at one point they don't even seem to notice that there's like 2 or 3 of them missing. These characters are constantly just being dumb and constantly don't seem to see things that are like 2 feet away. There could be a giant teddy bear with a knife coming at them and they won't notice until they're a foot away from them, which again is something that bothers me in horror films, but those movies at least will have like cool characters or ideas, and maybe they don't take themselves so seriously. I think that's like the biggest factor of this movie. If they were just trying to have a fun time, just making a silly dumb movie, collecting the paycheck, that would have been fine. It wouldn't have been a complete pile of shit like this movie became. And the bad thing is, I get excited when things like this become public domain. I love reimagining of old stories. I can't wait for Mickey Mouse to be doing crazy ass shit, but I don't want it to turn into generic stories that exist for the sake of existing, because there's plenty of childhood stories, Alice in Wonderland, Pinocchio, stories that went on to reinvent themselves and tell unique spins while also offering new ideas. And this movie does not even try to do that. I don't want things to become public domain just so they can get abused for a paycheck. I want them to enter the internet remixing age and turn into something cool and unique. But that movie doesn't exist for this purpose. This movie exists because it simply can. And there are plenty of movies that exist for a paycheck that I still end up loving because there's still talent behind it. There's still some form of love in there, but this film doesn't have that. And that is why it is easily my worst movie of 2023. I'm going to give this one a low 2 out of 10. The only reason I don't give this movie a 1 is because I have seen plenty of movies that are a 1, which are just shambles. At least it is somewhat structured and there are camera angles, like there's people acting, I suppose you could say. So in some form, it has something, so I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. That was the first review that I'm going to be doing for these 12 days of film, the 12 days of 2023. I'm still working on a title. But anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and until next time, with that, I leave you.